Welcome back to the channel. My name is Danny and I am so not an expert. Today we're going to do something a little fun. If you've watched Clue 1 of our Piazza Cotton Cuts Puzzle Mystery Quilt, you will know that they sent us a little mini challenge called the QuiltBlocker. Sounds like so much fun, so I've decided to join in. They sent me a spare piece of fabric from our colorway, and we're going to take this piece of fabric and we're going to make a block called the Old Italian block. It's an X-shaped block with a center square that is so pretty. I've made a sample just to make sure that I could do it. This is what it looks like. Doesn't that look like fun? So let's go ahead and get to the machine and get started. Okay friends, so the first thing I've done is I've lined up our fabric on our cutting mat. The directions say that you should do right sides up. Now after doing the example, I figured out that it's better to do wrong sides together so that the right sides are facing out. So then that way when we flip the pieces around, it works out a little bit better. So the first thing we do is we line up the fabric on our cutting mat so that we're on the diagonal and our corners are matching up with the same line on both sides. Because we're going to be slicing this down the middle in a 2-inch section. So we want to make sure that we're lining it up just perfectly. Then I'm going to grab my ruler and my cutting wheel, and using the 1-inch mark on my ruler, you want to make sure you have a ruler that's big enough to stretch out on the 8.5-inch pieces. But using the 1-inch mark, I'm going to line that up on the tip of the corner here along with that line, and I'm going to line it up here at the bottom. So I'm lining those two pieces up. Take my cutting wheel and I'm going to slice it right down. I'm going to leave everything on the mat exactly the way it is. Now if you have a spinning mat, this would be a great time to use it. I don't have one, so I'm just going to spin the mat myself. I am going to make sure that these pieces cut up. And then I'm going to spin the whole mat around, leaving my fabric exactly where it is, making sure those corners are lined up still. And then I'm going to take that 1-inch again, line it up on the line, making sure I've got it lined up on both sides, really super straight, holding it down, and I'm going to slice again. What this has done is it has given us a 2-inch piece down the center that now if we take it and we flip it, we already have half of our block done. Now we're going to take these out to the machine, over to the machine, and we're going to sew both sides to the middle, and we're going to press towards the darker fabric. In this case, I think I'm going to actually press towards this silver fabric here. You know, it's kind of, I don't really have a darker fabric on either one of these, but I'm going to go ahead and press towards the silver. So when I get to the other one, which is on the other side, I'm going to press towards the silver as well. So let me pull the machine out and get these sewn up. Now when you're sewing these up, be very, very careful because they are on the bias, so they're going to stretch. These are going to stretch like crazy, so you don't want to pull, you just want to hold. I found that it was easiest to start with the center, the small center piece, line up the two corners with the edges there, and let that piece guide the rest of it down. I've got my 1/4-inch pressure foot here, and I'm going to go ahead and sew these up. To save a little bit of time for myself, I'm going to go ahead and chain piece these, so I'm just going to do both blocks at the same time. And don't worry about it if the edges don't match up. You're going to trim the blocks later. Actually, our directions say not to trim the blocks until our swapping partner trim up the blocks. But if you were making this as a full-size quilt, you would trim up the blocks later. Alright, so there's half of it done. We're just going to flip it over, pull it open gently, and then sew up the pieces. Alright, now we're just going to iron these up towards the dark. It does not want to go that way. Okay, we've got our two pieces all sewn up on the end, pressed up together, going opposite directions. I went towards this background fabric. You can do however works best for you. So now I've got the two blocks here. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to slice them again this exact same way, only this time we're going to go opposite corners. So we're going to go on these corners instead. So I'm going to set that one aside. You can do these both at the same time or one at a time. I don't trust myself to do them both at the same time, so I'm just going to do one. I'm going to line up the edges on the straight line. I'm going to take my ruler, my 1-inch line on the ruler. Line that up with my corners and take my rotary blade and slice through. Just going to tug a little bit just to make sure it did slice. And then I'm going to swing this around and do it again on the other side. Okay. Now I should have, yep. So I'm going to set these three pieces to the side and do the second one, and then I'll show you how to put the block together. Alright, pieces are all cut together, and now all we have to do is just like before when we were flipping that middle one, we just take the middle from this piece and put it into the middle of that one, and now we have our block. This makes two blocks, so the other one will look like this. There we go. And these seams are going to nest up really nice because we've pressed them in opposite directions. We just want to be careful again when we're sewing these up on the bias. We don't want to stretch these corners here because they will stretch a little bit. So we're just going to hang on to those, and that's it. Let me go ahead and get these sewn up together, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Okay, friends, time for the big reveal. Here is block 1. And here is block 2. Which one do you guys think I should keep, and which one should we send off to our friend? This block or this block? I'm not sure which one we should do just yet. I'll have to think about it for a little bit. I've got a couple more days before I gotta get it in the mail. So if you guys have a suggestion, make sure you leave it in the comments below. And while you're down there, don't forget to click that subscribe button and that like button. Alright guys, that's all I've got for today. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to see you guys again really, really soon. Bye!
Is this all that you dreamed it?